Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening. Very pleased to give you this presentation today. My name is Camille. I'm the founder and director of Association Annulac, and we've been focusing most of our work in the Annamite mountains of Laos. And today I will present to you some of the research we have done in one national park in Laos, and especially on muntjacs. All right. So the research I want to present to you today is a research that was conducted in 2018-2019. It was a camera trap survey in Nakai-Nam Theun National Park. So this research has been published, so you can go have a look at the paper for more details. And it was looking at the ecology of 3 species of muntjacs that occur in this national park where we work. So we know in the Annamite mountains, it has exceptionally high ungulate richness and endemic species. It has 3 different species, or at least 3 different species of muntjacs. The Large-antlered muntjac, the northern red muntjac, and the Annamite dark muntjac, which is within a larger species complex that probably includes more than 1 species. The muntjacs, they play a very important role in ecosystem functioning and in maintaining the long-term health of tropical forests, but they are also highly susceptible to overexploitation, and especially so in the Annamite mountains, where there is a lot of intensive trait-driven hunting using snares. So in order to protect the remaining population of muntjacs in the Annamites, we need to collect more information and understand better about the ecology, the distribution, and the population status of these species for better conservation planning in the future. So this work was a camera trap survey in Nakai-Nam Theun National Park. So this is where we have been focusing most of our work. So it is located in the heart of the Annamite Mountains along the Lao-Vietnamese border. And the aim of this project was, again, to understand better about the muntjac ecology and their distribution in this national park, but also to set up a baseline for conservation to understand about the status of this population for the long-term monitoring of population as part of the management plan for the national park, not only for muntjac species, but for all ground dwelling species. What is interesting about Nakai-Nam Theun is that it has a diversity of habitat types, from dry evergreen forest, wet evergreen forest, semi-evergreen, and also some coniferous forest. It has also a wide range of elevations and clear annual seasonal changes in weather pattern. Since 2017, there was a management strategy that included and delineated 3 priority biodiversity zones that were selected based on their habitat diversity and the occurrence of conservation priority species. And these 3 zones are located within the total protection zones, where it is prohibited to conduct any human activity. Of course, there is still some poaching there and intensive snaring, depending on which zone. So this is also the delineation of the 3 zones was also as part of the strategy for law enforcement to ensure that anti-poaching patrol could focus on these 3 zones in a long term. So the survey was conducted during the dry season of 2018-2019, and the cameras were set up using a grid design with the stations that were spaced about 2.5 kilometers apart, and there were two cameras per station. Overall, we had a total survey effort of over 20,000 camera trap nights. And for the analysis, we used a single species, single season occupancy model. And the station was our sampling unit, which means that all camera stations were considered independent. We then selected some environmental and anthropogenic covariates and looked at their influence on detection and occupancy. We particularly looked at the occupancy responses to covariate for each species. We calculated a percentage of area occupied for each species across the national park, and we produced some predictive distribution model maps for the three species. So these were the detections for the three different species of muntjacs. On the left-hand side, you have the Annamite dark muntjac, then the red muntjac, and then the large-antlered muntjac. These were the occupancy responses to covariate for the three different species. And there were different responses to covariates between the three different species. But I just want to point out to you, especially the elevation and remoteness, which were both covariates that were very important in the final models for the three different species. The remoteness was a proxy for anthropogenic covariate, and there was a higher occupancy of the three species in most remote locations, which can be interpreted as less hunting in most remote locations. For the Annamite dark muntjac, it was mostly found at higher elevations, which is consistent with what we know of the species so far. The northern red muntjac, its occupancy was predicted mainly at elevation below 1,250 meters. For the large-antlered muntjac, it was found at higher elevations, which was very interesting to us because it's contrasting from the previous assumptions that the species mainly occurs below 1,000 meter elevation across its range. And the species was actually the most widespread across the national park, so across elevation range. And it was also the only species of the three muntjac to be exclusively affected by anthropogenic factor, in that case remoteness, based on the best prediction model for the species, which again here can be interpreted as the distribution of the large-antlered muntjac is mainly influenced by hunting pressure. These are the percentage of area occupied for the three different species, and the large-antlered muntjac had the highest percentage of area occupied. And you can also see on the left the maps, the distribution map based on the prediction models. Which differ between the three different species. So overall, what we show is that Nakai-Nam Theun is a global stronghold for the large-antlered muntjac, and this is really in a sharp contrast to the situation across the species range, and especially for in Vietnam, of what we know of the species status in Vietnam. So just to point out to you also that I produced a poster based on this publication, and it's available online on our website, so feel free to have a look, and you can download it and share it through your network if you are interested. The other thing I wanted to present to you very briefly is the detection of the large-antlered muntjac across 3 seasons in Nakai-Nam Theun National Park. So as I mentioned, back in 2018, we set up long-term systematic camera trapping for the monitoring of ground-dwelling populations. So this is the data that I just presented to you. And we already done 3 surveys, so 3 replications, and this is to look at the trends in populations for the monitoring. So these are the detection. So in the season of 2018-2019 for the Large-antlered Muntjac. These are the detection for 2020, and these for the last time we replicated this survey, which was in 2022-2023. So again, this really shows that the Large-antlered Muntjac is detected quite widely in the national park, in Nakai-Nam Theun National Park, and reinforce the fact that Nakai-Nam Theun National Park is really important for the long-term survival of the species. So that's it for me, what I wanted to present to you. Thank you all for your listening to this presentation. Bye-bye.